+5 and gloomy. Oh, Svetlana, I totally understand this weather. Good. And also, yesterday I came up with a question. For me, it's interesting. How often do you visit my webinars? So, is it the first webinar that you are watching with me, or not first? Maybe. So, I don't ask you to count, but approximately. How many webinars from National Geographic Learning by me, by Diana Galavany, have you already visited? It's windy in Kiev, right, Irina? A bit cold. The first one. Great. So it's very interesting for me to know how many newcomers are here, and if there are some people who have already seen some other webinars. The second one, about 4, a lot of. 2, about 5, nice. About 5, the first. So there are coming about 6. Nice, great. That's interesting for me to know, really. Just because I'm preparing the new information all the time, and I'm trying to not to repeat myself, talking about methodology. And by the way, I checked, and 2 years ago, in November, approximately these days, we also had the webinar about teaching grammar into primary classroom, but it was a bit different from today's. We have our YouTube channel, Linguist company has a YouTube channel, so you can visit it and check. Maybe you will find some other ideas. First, about 10. Wow, Ruslana. That's nice that you're like a returning visitor, returning client who's supporting me. It's really important. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for sharing. I think we can start, right? Why should we wait? There is so much information that I have prepared to you today. But before, let me tell you a bit about National Geographic Learning. One more time for those who have just took part, who have just joined. My name is Diana Galavany. I'm an LT consultant for National Geographic Learning in Ukraine. I work in Linguist company, and Linguist is an official representative of this publishing house. So if you're interested in a whole range of the textbooks that are here in Ukraine, you can contact your sales manager in Linguist company, visit our site, and you will get the consultation. Also, you can write to me if you need some more specific methodological questions. The main goal of this publishing house is to help learners experience the world. And today I'm going to talk about grammar and also to show the material from the textbooks that it really helps very young learners experience the world, and it's very fascinating, very interesting. So some of you may have already seen this book. This is Look, a textbook for young learners, which has a permission to be used in the primary school from the grades from 1st to 4th. This book shows that the world is an amazing place. It helps our young learners, our children, get acquainted with different cultures, with different people, with different events from all over the world. Amazing photography, authentic stories and videos, they motivate, engage learners. They want to know more. They start asking you questions. They start sharing their experience. There are lots of topics that are very close to the children, and they will find out how their peers live and what they do in different parts of our world. So it's very interesting for them to feel this connection that, okay, in Australia, children also do this. In India, children also have lessons in the outside or something like that. Or they also play games. So for them, it's really interesting, and they will feel it. They will understand that English lessons are a great adventure, and you take them to this adventure for each lesson. Lessons from Look are really short and fresh. They are suited for our program for 40 minutes. They will get right amount of new material, and they will have lots of opportunities to revise it. There are different activities that will help students develop and grow in all directions. They will study vocabulary, they will practice grammar, they will develop speaking skills, listening skills, reading skills, and writing skills. Also, there is lots of repetition, and the unit is built so it has revision. So they have new materials, they revise it and add some new, and by the end of the unit, they are like professionals in this topic. There are lots of additional lessons, some school trips to different parts of the world, interviews with children, interviews with National Geographic explorers. They help students experience real language, not this the book language that is sometimes very distant from what we hear in the street, but they will hear the real language. Of course, graded language, but it's much closer to real world than in some other books or written texts. It's really inspiring, and you have to see these eyes of children who are opening the book, who look, who ask questions. It's worth like $1 million. Lots of activities. If you are those teachers who prepare students for young learners examinations, you will get the support and you will be ready to prepare your students for Cambridge examinations. Also, if you have time, there are lots of extra lessons like school trips, expanded reading, games, functional language. There are lots of materials to help teachers. Formative assessment. We have already had the webinar about formative assessment, about how this book supports teacher and provides them a very clear model on what can be done. And this is like up-to-date topic for today's situation with education in Ukraine. They will practice exam test. They will do exams. They will do tests after each unit. And at the end of the course, they will have their own similar to Cambridge Young Learners examinations. There are lots of ideas for the teacher. Here you can see this framework. So these are instructions for teachers, what you need to do with your students in order to see how they the knowledge of each student is developing. There are ideas how you can check it without testing. With some games, so in a child-friendly way, what you need to do in order to support your students, and what you need to, when you need to do it, after which unit you need to do this activity, and if they have some problems, how you can do it like from the second try, and when it's better to do this try, and there is a clear guide on how what should be done. So if you just have this teacher's book from Look, you copy this student's progress log, you can add it to your papers, and it can be used together with your formative assessment. Also, I'm happy to invite you. Now we are taking part in Linguist Training Center, and I've prepared the new workshop, integrated lesson for primary students. Topic is New Year, so it's the end of the term. You're going to have final tests very soon. Your students will have them. Then you, as usual, last lessons, we devote them to New Year, to Christmas tradition. And this year, I thought that I am ready to share my experience on how to make integrated lessons. I will teach you, I will provide you with a lesson plan, and we'll discuss it. And step by step understand the structure, how you need to combine English and other language, what students need to know, how you need to prepare them so they are ready to talk about different subjects in different languages. I will just for shortly leave the link. If you are interested, you can with the link find out information and register to this workshop. The number of participants is limited to 10, so I will be very happy to meet you there. And I think we can start. As usual, let's start from the teacher's story. So this is Mrs. Black. She's a teacher. She's been working as a teacher for 10 years, and she would like to talk to us about her experience with the first and third grade. She has students who know many words. So not bad students, right? They study something. They are good at making exercise, doing exercises. They can open the brackets, fill in the gaps. They can choose the correct option. But there is a problem. The students don't want to speak or write texts. And also, when the teacher has her own problem, when she hears students making a mistake, her ears are like bleeding. She just don't want to waste her time because there are so much mistake from primary students. So this is quite a situation that can be that can happen everywhere, right? So students know the words, but they don't use them, they don't make them, they don't connect them in the sentence. What do you think? What do you think may have caused this problem? So I was talking for a long time. Now it's time for you to participate. What do you think was the background? Why students don't like speaking, don't want speaking, don't like writing text? Why they make so many mistakes, if they are good at doing exercises? Lack of motivation. Yeah, they don't know why they need to speak, right? That's a good point, Vyacheslav. Greeting to Katerina, Dnipro. So there are some people from the same place, right? They are shy. It can happen. Not very usual, because primary students, especially in the first grade, they are still more open. But yes, it can happen that they are shy because of, like, it's the whole school situation, not only with English language. No, afraid of being mistaken. Yeah, no practice enough, no goal, they're shy. Yes, thank you very much for your ideas. A lack of motivation, they don't understand. That's right. And that's what we are going to talk today about, that it should be meaningful. It's not the first webinar when I mentioned this word meaningful. If I need to speak, I need to understand why I need to do this. For example, I'm speaking today with you just because I want to share my experience. I want to motivate you, prepare, and help your students speak more or use some different techniques for this. If they're afraid of mistakes, again, whose problem is it's their problem, of course, but it happened for some reason, right? So if they are afraid now, that something frightened them. So maybe the situation, maybe someone was laughing at their mistakes, right? And children don't want to feel this. It's not so nice. So the friendly atmosphere, supportive atmosphere is very important. And we need to recommend to our Mrs. Black that try to talk to your children, maybe to show them some stories, tell them stories, discuss it all the time, that it's okay to make mistakes. We will work on your mistake. Let's just play. And also another thing is not just to tell this to children, but to engage them so much that they are participating and they don't want to they just forget about it. They just start speaking, right? Lack of knowledge. They have no examples. Thank you, Svetlana. It's also what I always tell teachers, that it's better to have some models. Students need to have support, maybe posters, some sentences written on the board, anything that can help. Lack of knowledge. And you see here is an interesting situation. They are good at doing exercises. So actually, they can understand where to choose is, where to choose are, how to make past. Yeah, so if they do exercise, they put every verb into the past tense correct if they are the third graders, the end of the third grade. But when they speak, they'll do lots of mistakes and they just don't want to do it. So lack of knowledge, not in total, lack of practical knowledge, right? So we know theory, we teach them theory, and it usually happens. But we don't teach them to use this theory. Motivation. Right. Thank you very much. You are great experts, and I believe that you don't suffer from these problems very much. So my goal today is just to on this example to show what can happen, what sometimes I observe in the classrooms, and how to make so what we need to do about it. And I hope that you will get some information and new ideas for your school. And actually, this story was not just my creation. No, I found this article on Edutopia. I like this site very much. It's from America, and mostly for American teachers, but there are also foreign language teaching articles, and it's something a bit different to what we have here. So just to get more experience, more motivation, more maybe insights, from time to time I come back, I go to this site and find interesting articles. Also, they have an interesting Instagram page with the beautiful animations, with highlighted all main ideas. And here was the story of a teacher. I am embarrassed. No, actually, I would go as far to say horrified that I spent 10 years of my career teaching students about the Spanish language. I usually felt proud when they could fill out grammar worksheets with precision. Now you may be thinking that as a Spanish teacher, this is my job. But since my enlightenment, I understand that it decidedly is not. I am now certain that teaching them to communicate well in the language is my job. Honestly, who cares whether students can conjugate verbs correctly if they can't tell someone what they need? Getting to this point was required a colossal teaching philosophy transformation, but I've never been more proud of the work that I'm doing. And this is actually what we are going to talk today. When we teach about English or when we teach English. So what's the difference? This teacher is speaking about Spanish, but let's talk about our reality. What's the difference if I teach about English or I teach English? I'm just really waiting for some answers from your points of view. It's very interesting for me to have the dialogue, not it's only me who's speaking, but reality. Yeah, teaching English is more practical. Theory and practice, yeah. So basically, when I start explaining children that this is past tense, we use past tense to talk about what happened yesterday. I need to add ed, and some verbs are irregular or crazy. They change their form. It's teaching about language, right? And most of the children can be good at this, especially if they are good at they have good academical skills. But then it comes to practice. And we hear that they forget to put this ed ending. They don't remember how to say, I went to school yesterday. And this is teaching the language, right? So they may be excellent in doing exercises, but they may fail when they are in real life. And here, I would like to look at different approaches to teaching grammar. And very important note is that I'm not going to say that any approach is bad or wrong. No, I believe that if any approach brings good results, it's worth using, unless it, of course, it's forbidden by law. But if to talk about these ones, of course, they have all of them. They have their pluses, minuses, and we as teachers, we need to have a range of tools that will help us lead our students and help them achieve the goal. So grammar translation, and inductive and deductive. Yeah, good. So when there is something that we explain the rule to students, and after they know the rule, they start implementing this rule, right? Or we can show them the example and ask them to notice, right? What happened? What has changed when I use it, right? Sakarpatias, that's okay, join us, Natalia. Speaking about reality, right? So there are different approaches. Grammar translation is maybe the oldest. It's when grammar is in the middle. I'll talk about it a bit later. Communicative, comparatively fresh to grammar translation method. In this approach, we basically avoid grammar rules. We focus more on communication. And somewhere in the middle, there is learning-centered approach, not learner-centered. This is also important, but today we are not going to talk about this. Learning-centered. All these ideas are based on Cameron's book, Teaching Languages to Young Learners. This is like the Bible, maybe for those who want to teach young learners. I highly recommend this book. And yeah, so most of the research, most of the findings are based on this book. So grammar translation. Grammar translation method is, as you see, so if we have this circle as a whole language, grammar in this picture, grammar takes the biggest place. So it's like the building blocks. We as teachers give students rules. We start from the simplest rules. For example, to be. We teach them that there are 3 forms of be. And they start using these, doing exercises. Maybe simple, then more difficult, more difficult. First, they need to choose, then they need to match, maybe then to fill in the gap, then describe the picture. Why not? After they are good with MSR, we move to have got, has got, right? Then it goes to there is, there are, present simple, past simple, present continuous, and so on and so forth. So we build, each brick is a rule. And the more rules students know, the better they can speak. Unfortunately, it doesn't work very well in terms of real world. That's okay if I know the rules. Sure, that's good if I can do exercises. I can be successful at my state school exam, right? But what happens when I go out and start speaking? I didn't have enough fluency just because we didn't give students so many opportunities to use the language, to practice, to play with the language, and to use it in some situations. Of course, so when some uh, things, like features of grammar translation, we use meta language. We provide students with some things like verb, noun, past tense, present tense, ending, suffix, and so on, right? And there are lots of rules. I remember we were even writing down some rules, like with articles and that. That was maybe my first memory from the primary school when I was at that age. And there are lots of exercises. So if we, just to picture it, all the things are from grammar translation method. This is nice tale. I think everyone have used it about dragons or something like that. It can be different. That has three heads. M is R, and they have different friends. Yeah, I is friend with M, and so on. Some things like these charts. I have got, you have got, they have got. So it's very picturesque, right? Practice. So there are lots of exercises. I just need to understand which has have got, which has got after it. This is all about teaching about the language. It's not teaching the language itself. We can't communicate with anyone except for teacher in this situation, right? So let's move to a communicative approach. So on the contrary, maybe teachers were really tired of explaining this. Maybe there were some students who were tired of such education and they decided to change. And they decide that language should be communicative. It's like here, it's like the party. We need to use them in real world. We need to communicate. We need to speak more. It's okay to make mistakes. Doesn't matter. Then I hear more. Then I will get used to. So basically, this is how we guess our first language, right? We hear it and we start repeating. And after that, we start using. We don't know the rules, but we know how to speak Ukrainian, right? The same was the idea of the communicative approach, or the very first maybe attempts to use it. So we put children in a real life situation. We are like role models. We communicate with them. They remember some things. They try to say words. We help them to build sentences. They repeat with us, and so on and so forth, right? And here we don't, it's for us, it's maybe our goal in such lessons is students have to students need to buy something from the shop, or they need to play the game, be polite, right? And we can omit some grammar mistakes, and it's the thing is that they need to achieve the goal, communicative goal. So in all the possible tools, they need to decide who is the first, who takes the first turn in the game, or something like that, right? I'm not saying that we don't need to use this. Of course, it's a good way to build fluency, to help students feel more confident about them. For example, after reading this text, this fairy tale about the frog and the butter, students listen to the teacher, and then they need to discuss it, right? So what happened? Maybe they put sentences in the correct order. Maybe they try to retell each other. They discuss what helped frog to survive, or they try to ask more questions or we can talk about their situation when you are the frogs and what is your butter, right? And by doing this, students take some useful language from the poems, from the fairy tale, from the teacher, and they start using it and discussing it. I would use such lessons several times. Not every lesson, but from time to time, it's great just to have this more relaxing atmosphere and let students listen to real language and respond to it. Making mistakes, but they will listen to the teacher who says, here is actually the present tense, right? So it will they will catch this. He kicks. There isn't milk, and so on and so forth, right? Also, one of the form on the primary level is great to have TPR, a total physical response. This is a great way how we can teach students basic phrases, basic structures. Like here, we have the song. Close your eyes, turn to the wall, count to 10, then call coming. Ready or not? Where is Hannah? And so on and so forth, right? So actually this is a song, but it can be the poem also. And how the TPR goes. First, they listen and look. So I'm as a teacher, I am saying the sentences, and for each chunk, I would use an activity. Close your eyes. Turn to the wall, count to 10, then call, coming, ready or not. Then we can discuss Hannah. So we do it, of course, paragraph by paragraph, but then we can add students and we can ask, Hannah, where is Hannah? So Hannah is a girl. Let's show the girl like this, yeah, like this. Hannah, where is Hannah? Then Paul, maybe Paul has some short hair. Where is Paul? She is in the kitchen, so kitchen like cooking. He is in the hall, maybe putting on clothes, right? What after that? Then they listen to me, they look at my actions, and they repeat actions with me, not the words. First, they need to get this idea how to repeat words. So let's practice with the first verse only. Close your eyes, turn to the wall, count to 10, then call, coming, ready or not. And they do it with me. So if you are the teachers, you can repeat these actions with me. Close, so you're doing what I'm doing. Close your eyes, turn to the wall, count to 10, then call, coming, ready or not. After that, when we do it several times, I do this, but in this time, you are doing the activities. So I am staying still. I just say, close your eyes, and you do the activity. Turn to the wall, count to 10, then call, coming, ready or not. Here we practice imperatives, but in the second one, we practice asking, answering. Where is, she is, he is? In the kitchen, in the hall. So it's like the whole chunk. After that, they need to listen, act, and say with me. So now I can be a support with students. So I say, close your eyes, and you do it with me. Or I say, then you say, close your eyes, and you do like this, close your eyes. It's important each time to do the activity. Then they can test each other. Like I do this, and you remember what phrase was. I do this, and you remember again. Look and say and act. Again, it's always about making activities. Say and act. So by the end of this routine, they need to be ready to say the same sentences, doing same activities, but without my help. and but with the help of gestures. And they will do this. Where is Hannah? Where is Paul? She is in the kitchen. He is in the hall, right? Then when you move to another thing, you can help them. She is, right, to show he is, just to show that there are different pronouns here. It's also a good idea to use this when you teach prepositions, right? You use your hands. I think everyone does it, right? But what is maybe the negative side of this approach? It's great, but you can't study many things with it. It's great for the first level. It's great to study from time to time. It's great when the topic is appropriate, like sport activities, free time activities, prepositions, but it's impossible to use it for everything, right? But with young children, so I believe, so write to me if you're doing this with your students. I will continue, but I will be it will be interesting for me to know what if you are doing TPR activities with your students, and what grammar do you practice with it? Sometimes, yeah, from time to time it's great. Even with older students, I mean fourth graders, it can be also interesting. My biggest challenge at first was to stick to these activities, gestures. For me, it didn't look so natural, so I tried to keep it. But actually it really helped. And then one time a boy joined our class and he used these gestures to show prepositions. So, and I saw how much it helped him, how much support he had. So he couldn't remember, but he always showed me in, next to, without saying. And after showing, he was ready to say. Yes, not always. Good, yeah. And in one workshop, I practiced it with different animals and what actions they do, and it was fun. Really, like wiggle their hairs, tail, something like that. Also, again, to show he is in the kitchen, in the hall, and they will remember. So why not, right? But not always, of course. Good. Learning-centered approach. Finally, we are here. So you can see that this is a balance between grammar translation method and communicative method. Animals, greetings. Different topics, toys, family. Nice. Do you use it with, so I hear here I read mostly about vocabulary, but what about grammar? Do you practice grammar structures with this TPR? Maybe telling a story. There is a wonderful video on YouTube how the man teaches young kids to tell a story about apples. Good. So learning center approach is like a balance between grammar translation method and communicative approach. And here we will have a look. We will look at the example present continuous. Oh, good. Yeah, that's actually what we are doing in present continuous, right? So here it will be our model lesson, and we'll discuss what learning centered approach is in terms of this lesson example. So first, we provide students with the context. It's very important to think in what situation, real life situation, I will use this task. Here, the focus of this lesson is talking about this, that. So when I ask about this, that, those, these, usually I am asking about things. And they have this chant. Is that your skateboard? Can I have a go? Yes, this is my skateboard. Yes, you can have a go. Are these your building bricks? Can I have a go? Yes, those are my building bricks. You can have a go. And important thing also, I think I just missed something. Okay. Right. So the learning-centered approach consists of 3 parts. And usually as teachers, we do first 2 parts and we have very little time on the third, but the main important part. So the first step is noticing. We need to help our students notice the language. We don't show them, we don't tell them until they notice it by themselves. So first, we will use this chant as a context. And here, it's not so much information. They studied toys before, the lesson before, so it's not new information for them. Can I have a go? It's of course new, but it's like actually a very nice thing, right? To use it, really natural. And is that your skateboard? Are these your building bricks? Those are, right? And we ask students to be active. So they are not just listening to us, right? Here they need to chant, actually. So and the book suggests the following procedure. Open the book, use the photo, students to remind about personal possessions, right? And go around the class. So first they just revise the language, then we read instructions, and they find skateboard and building bricks. And I would actually combine it with TPR. So showing maybe that, these, those, these, right? So with my fingers, I would show, is that your skateboard? Can I have a go? Yes, this is my skateboard. You can have a go. Are these your building bricks? Can I have a go? Yes. Are these your building bricks? Yes, those are my building bricks. You can have a go. And different colors means different groups. So students like making the dialogue. And to me, it sounds like a real life situation. So when I'm a child, I'm in the playground, I can ask these things, right? I'm polite. I need to, not just to take someone's toy, but I need to ask. And I can use this phrase, right? So we start by first just practicing this thing. So they start learning how to say this chant. And I would add activities here. That, this, those, these. And then as a teacher, I will help my students noticing. And here is another task. Like this is my camera, these are my felt tips, that's my tablet, those are my building bricks. But even before that, even with this chant, I would ask, so look, these, that, these, those, these, what's the difference? And maybe they will feel this difference because you need to show either one or several fingers, right? So it's really visual for them, right? It's what they need to can understand. After that, we discuss the picture. So this is my camera. Look, find the camera. Yes. These are my felt tips. Look at these felt tips. Good. So is the girl holding it in her hands? Yes, no. We won't do any summing up like, okay, students, so we use this, is even in Russian and Ukrainian language, doesn't matter, but we start in just discussing with them for students to make their own conclusion. And we can use after that, we can again play out these sentences using the gestures. So they will have these 4 basic sentences, either here or from chant, with the gestures. and then they will refer to these sentences and gestures when you do some activities. And here again, it's just for students to notice it, to practice it, to saying this. And the book also suggests, after you discuss this chart, you start using real life objects and asking. And you can always use these gestures that we have just taught. After that, you can see that noticing actually is a very important thing. And it will not work for one time. It's not enough only one lesson to remember the grammar, especially for young children. That is why they have, in this book, they have lots of repetitions. They have the same language first in grammar lesson, then in reading lesson, then in the song lesson, then in the video lesson. So for every time we come back to this structure, and again, we remind students. So it means that we can do the full circle, all 3 steps, and then come back to the first one. So to revise it many, many times until they finally use it. And another example, so the next, in several lessons, we are going to study possessive case. For students, they don't need to know what possessive case is. Yeah, they just need to know that they need to say Claudia's robot, Zoomer's body. And again, here they have the text, they have the picture, they have this structure. So we are basing on the context. From the context, we have these sentences, not just from out of blue, right? From the context. And we ask students to notice what's different. Yeah, what's new that you hear. After that, look, the book suggests us different activities, and it's still not practice. It's still helping in noticing. Some students will understand the rule when they see the example. For some students, and I was, for example, the students like that, for who need some more time. And then you have these listening activities. And it's important to keep students active. Even if they repeat it with you, they need to do some manipulations. Maybe they need to listen to this sentence and find this in the picture and put the tick here. They need to repeat it. They need to show it, something like that. So they are doing some activities. They still don't use this grammar structure. Look, we believe that, okay, we are practicing it and they need to use it. Not at all. It's just for students to get used to it. So they read and match. So they try and do this, but they still don't produce the language. And step by step, we need to follow them there. I'm just saying that, and it doesn't matter how many exercises we are going to do. It's mostly the quality, the content of the exercises. So exercises 2 and 3 in this book are, again, we help them to notice. They will listen, they will respond to it, they will understand the dance, something, ferrous, something, and so on. After that, we start structuring. It's like practice. In PPP, it's like present. We have noticing. So we don't present, actually, we help them notice with lots of examples in real life context. Then we need to practice it. So we need to structure it so students start using it. And of course, it's better to do not with the help of lots of writing exercises. Writing exercises written, these gap filling activities and so on are also good, but in very limited quantity. And it's better to use speaking more. So, for example, here we have exercise 4. Draw five things on separate papers with 3 other students. Put them into the pile. Guess, is this Shivan's tablet? No, that isn't tablet. It's Emilia's tablet. And here, again, it's not like a real life situation just because if it's not in the class, students will hardly ever draw some cards and asking. They will actually asking about real things, but not about the pictures. But this is important step, and here they practice. And again, it's not the production of the language; it's just the practice, because here we have very limited. They have limited options. They just have to ask and answer these questions. But this activity is good just because it's not, they start using their mouths to produce it. So structuring activities can be something like information gaps, questionnaires, polls, surveys, chants and drills. Everything that helps students say out the new structure. Also, for example, here in the song, it's like consolidation. So you practiced it in the one lesson, next lesson, then you have a song, and again, they study the song, and they asking these questions: is this, is that? And then it will be bands. So again, it will be the possessive case. And finally, and of course, with this song, we again can use different movements, but still it's not using the language. And finally, we come up with production. Production is when students have some real life situations and they can use structures. For the teachers, our goal here is to observe students and to see if they actually use the structure. If they use it, it means they understand the context. If they don't use, it means that we need to plan another lesson and again provide them with another context just to show them and give them a bit of more this structure and exercises to practice. If they try to use it but make mistakes, more focus on structure and stage, so more activities, but mostly oral activities. Or if they're writing, it should be open question writings, right? Not exercises. Meaningful real life situations. For example, here we have value lesson when students are talking about being tidy. And here comes a perfect chance for real life situations. Students can actually see that they can clean up the classroom, right? They can, mainly, yes, clean up the classroom. We can't do anything else in the classroom. And they need to use English for this, right? So before that, you can pretend playing a game, a board game, something like that. They can bring their own objects to play some maybe memory game, close their eyes, what is missing game, just for fun. And after that, the task is, okay, students, we have played, we had fun, great, but now we need to tidy up, right? Please, can you do that by yourself? And they start, maybe they will asking, or you can maybe add some obstacles. So this group, you just need to get used to these things, but you can't tell. Or they can do it with their eyes closed, asking, is that Jane's, is that Paul's? So they will do some activities, they will do some tidying up, and they will use English. And then you will see if they use, give me this, give me that. If they use, is it Mary's book? So I need to put it somewhere. Yes. So this is like the real thing that will show if your students can use this information. Also, another thing, as for production, is maybe rewrite the familiar thing. So here they have this song, Paul, is this your old ball? Is that your guitar? And here is your toy car. So here it's like our target language. And when we study it, we use some gestures. After that, as students, we ask them, look at these phrases and make a verse. And here they need to use their memory in order to reconstruct the sentences using these words. And this will show how well students can use the structures. After that, they can product their own verse. Another idea that the book suggests is like problem-solving situation. Here we have different pictures, different problems, and students need to understand which thing belongs to which child, and it's something like students doing their like activity books with like outside the classroom. So they do some puzzles, and they need to talk together. And again, as a teacher, after making structuring activities, after helping them noticing, they have this activity maybe somewhere at the end of the unit in order to to use the language, because this activity is designed, right? So it's like they are likely to use it if they understand if they understand before. And while they're doing this activity as a teacher, again, you walk around the classroom and you analyze, are they using this, that, or are they using different things? Are they like one word for everything? Are they using possessives, or they don't do that? And again, and you will see how well it works. So these were actually the ideas about grammar. So we can teach grammar with explaining the rules. We can use TPR from time to time. We can use communicative, and we can use this structure that students notice the language because of lots of input, lots of stories, lots of songs, lots of chants, lots of discussions, lots of teachers talk. They notice it. You start discussing it with your students, and then they practice. But we don't don't choose only written activities. They are maybe more classroom manageable, but they won't let our students use the language. We did it several years ago, and I decided to repeat this thing as the competition teachers' ideas. Not competition, kind of. It's for you to take up a challenge and to maybe develop your creativity. If you wish to, you can look at the grammar lessons from a lookbook. I will show you the link. Find grammar lesson, look at it, analyze it, and prepare production activity, something that is meaningful, real life, and helps to use language in the real world. You can write down, describe the procedure, send it explaining from which book you took the lesson, send it to me. And for all participants, we will send classroom posters for your work, and the best idea author will get the Look textbook. I will really appreciate it if you decide to maybe turn out of your routine and participate in this thing. Usually teachers said that it's really helped to find motivation, to find energy to work further. So what you need to do, you go to our, let's look at the example very quickly. Look at the grammar lesson from Look, like this one. So there is the ra. Second exercise, again, noticing this lesson, then practicing. And the topic is beach, summer holidays at the beach. Number 4, again, it's quite a limited thing. It's not the real life production. So our task is to prepare this production. For example, it can be creating a list of what we need to take to the beach. Maybe students prepared some things, and they just need to check if they have everything according to the list. Something like that, right? So it will be communicative activity, like closer to life activity. So let's make our beach bag. Again, this is my email, Diana Galavan, Linguist UA. By the 3rd of December, I will be waiting for your ideas. You can go to the site linguistangel.com UA, and Yeah, here I will just show it to you, and yeah, here you will find samples. You can choose any level that you would like. Choose grammar lessons. There are 2 grammar lessons. Find it and decide which production activity you would like to complete with your students. If we talk about our teacher, Mrs. Black, there are some questions left. Should we introduce meta language? We were talking about this, and I will say that it's not forbidden in the primary classroom, but it should be done only after students have already noticed the rule. So after you provide them with the context, after they practice saying it, after you demonstrate some examples, maybe they use these gestures, or after they do some noticing activities, only after that we can, okay, right. So we use she for the girl, he for the boy. It's okay. Here is not so language. Maybe when we present present simple, we can add the word verb. So I go to school, he sleeps a lot. So you see, this is a verb. So only after the first stage, after noticing stage, we can add this. Grammar tasks, those are our favorite: gap filling, open brackets, translate sentences, activities. Again, they can be done, but in very limited amount, and they need to be about it's better to focus more on speaking, right? They can complete this task, but after that, use this task to talk about real life. So, okay, you open the brackets, look at these sentences. Is there anything that is true about you? Or how will you change these sentences to talk about you? So it's just to bring the real life and to see students, to show students the meaning, and give them opportunity to talk on this like learning material, but to talk about their real lives, and they will be more likely to use language after things like that. If you have any questions, I will be happy to answer you. As usual, we are a bit out of time. Thank you very much for your kind words. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate. Answer. Ask me. Again, I would like to remind you about my about my workshop. This workshop is on December the 7th. Very limited places. There are some pictures that are going to tell you, give you some hints what is going to be in this workshop. So it's about New Year, combining English, math, and art, and you can see here different things that we are going to talk about. I would be really happy to see you there. The information, all activities were taken from Look, the book for primary school, which is quite new for our Ukrainian market, but several schools have already chosen it, and I have very positive feedback about it. The students are engaged. For teachers, it's very easy to teach, and they see the results, which is very, very important. There are 7 lessons. We can skip video lesson if we are limited in times, but usually lessons quite short, so 1 page is enough for 35-40 minutes. Teacher's book has lots of ideas for us. What to do with fast finishers, how to challenge our students. And there's those ideas how to use real life language, how to make this production stage, really production stage. Like warm up, wrap up, optional activities, additional activities. So there are lots of ideas what can be done, and then you can use these ideas with other students, with other books. You will get the full information about videos, about photos, so you can share with your students interesting facts about our world. And together with paper-based book, there is also online learning practice. These are codes for students, and they will get their online workbook with lots of exercises for their mobile phones, tabs, or laptops. So it works everywhere. Teachers are like managers. You will be observing their work. You will set the limits, check, correct, see the results. And together with this online practice, students will get student book in PDF, and teacher is registered for free, by the way. If the class has bought the codes, the teachers register for free, and together with online learning practice, you will get interactive whiteboard. It means that this ability to show interactive book with your screen. It looks like this, with lots of instruments, with a lot of interesting interactive tools in it. Yeah, learning management system looks something like this. So you can see the date when it was completed, the percentage, so on and so forth. If you are interested, do not hesitate, contact your manager linguist and ask for this book. Also, if you want to get the certificate, here I'm going to leave this link, so you need to complete your information about you, and we're going to send your certificates on Tuesday. If you are willing to take part in our Teachers' Ideas competition, please send your works to me. You can use this site, linguistangel.com.ua, find any sample, find grammar lesson, and design a production activity. Send it to me by the 3rd of December. All participants will get classroom posters, and the best idea, the most creative idea, will be awarded with the textbook look. I would like to thank you all very much. And I hope to, by the way, our next webinar is going to be in 2 weeks. So we're going to announce it like very, very soon. So do not miss it. Thanks again. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being with me till the end. I hope you learned something and got some ideas. And see you soon. Goodbye.